first on Fox.
And he just unloaded everything in the magazine.
A father recounts the deadly shooting this weekend inside the Sky Zone in Baltimore County.
My focus was my children. I just wanted to get them out.
What this father saw and the impact the shooting has left behind. A former Baltimore firefighter joins a lawsuit against the city.
It seems like nothing's being done about this.
His long recovery after surviving the deadly Stricker Street fire and his fight for change to prevent another tragedy like this. Then a heated exchange between Mayor Scott and residents on Safe Streets funding. Why some say his claims of full transparency are wrong.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 4.
It has been over a year since tragedy struck the Baltimore Fire Department. 3 firefighters killed while battling a fire in a vacant home. Well, today, Fox 45 News learned a surviving firefighter is joining a lawsuit against the city of Baltimore. And John McMaster is speaking with us first on Fox.
Kelsey was to my right. Kenny was in front of me. Something came down and hit me in the back of the head. And it was a very, very hard hit through my helmet. And the next thing I know, it started crumbling down on us, trapping us.
Well, thank you for joining us. I'm Mary Bubala.
And I'm Maxine Stryker in for Kai. It has been more than a year of recovery for John McMaster, physically, mentally, and of course, emotionally. And now he's talking exclusively with Fox 45 News about his journey and the changes he'd like to see so another tragedy like this never happens again.
The day started like any other day for me.
January 24th, 2022. Should have been just another day at work for John McMaster, but now it's a day forever ingrained in his mind.
Took my job from me. I love that job. I love the men and women that I work with the Baltimore City Fire Department.
It's the day his career with the Baltimore City Fire Department came to an end.
I was on leadoff that day, which means that I get the supply line and hook that to the hydrant.
The call came in early in the morning for a 2-alarm fire on Stricker Street.
Kelsey was to my right. Kenny was in front of me.
Once inside the home,
something came down and hit me in the back of the head. And the next thing I know, it started crumbling down on us, trapping us.
McMaster and 3 other firefighters, Lieutenant Paul Buttram, Kelsey Sadler, and Kenny Lacayo,
we just had a collapse. Mayday, mayday, mayday.
couldn't get out.
There was too much weight, too much lumber on us, and so we were trapped. I called out for help. I was calling out my company, Engine 14, Engine 14.
As McMaster's cries for help grew louder, he began to run out of air.
I reached out and I was able to find Kenny's hand. It was pitch black, you couldn't see anything. It was still on fire, so it was still smoky. I tried to reassure Kenny that we were going to be okay. I told him, brother, we're going to be fine. They're going to get us out of here. But you've got to open up this pipe because we are burning up right now. And Kenny did that.
A matter of minutes trapped in the dark felt like hours.
What I tried to remember was, you know, pictures of my families and my friends. I tried to imagine them.
And he says death was at his door.
I thought at that time this was it for me.
But then came a touch.
Eventually I can feel some tugging on my pack, pulling me back.
It was after days at shock trauma.
I was awake and I was still back. I still had a tube in my throat, and when the nurses would come up, I would ask for a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper, and I just kept writing 14 with a question mark.
McMaster learned his 3 fellow firefighters didn't make it.
and then you're left knowing that they weren't able to get everybody out. And you feel bad and you feel possibly guilty because they were all such great people.
McMaster was left with injuries, including memory loss that will last a lifetime.
I have a burn on my right foot, the inside of my right calf, my right shin, the outside of my left shin, a burn on my hamstring, a burn on the bottom of my buttocks, 2 burns on my back, a burn on my right arm, a burn down my chest, and a burn on my neck.
As he continues on his path to recovery, he's joined the families of the fallen firefighters, filing notice of their plans to sue the city.
We didn't know that the house was vacant. We didn't know there was prior fires at this house. We didn't know there was prior collapses at this house.
Calling the tragedy preventable and unforgivable, he wants to see the vacant home crisis addressed now.
The house was able to come down after Stricker Street, right? After it killed 3 of my brothers, then it was able to be demoed. What's the holdup on demoing the houses now?
The line of duty report released after the fire confirmed firefighters were unaware of the danger inside the home and outlined departmental leadership and cultural issues. It also included pages of recommendations, some of which the fire union says the department has addressed, including marking vacant homes with red signs. But McMaster says it's all too late.
I'm sad, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
As his life will never return to what it was before that January day.
You always know that you lost 3 of your brothers and sisters in a preventable fire. And that makes me sad also. It makes me angry, but it makes me sad that it seems like nothing's being done about this.
Well, it was in December when the families of the 3 firefighters killed and McMaster filed notice of their plans to sue the city. The notice says the status of the home should have been known by all firefighters because of previous fires in 2015 and 2016. The hope is the city will address the safety of firefighters in the nearly 15,000 vacant homes throughout Baltimore.
It shouldn't take a tragedy like this to cause change. It's unacceptable. And John, Kelsey, Paul, Kenny, they're heroes. They deserve better from our city officials. They deserve better from the city agencies that are responsible for checking these properties. The information was known. There's no escape of that. They knew about the prior collapse. They knew about injured firefighters before this happened. They knew all of it. The property stayed standing because the people that should have taken care of it didn't. And our fight's just getting started.
Well, following the Stricker Street fire, the city moved ahead to relaunch the Code X-ray program. Right now, unsafe vacant homes have red signs in front of them. Late last year, Fire Chief Niles Ford, he stepped down after that scathing report on the fire. 3 weeks ago, Mayor Scott nominated Chief James Wallace to lead the Baltimore City Fire Department.
Tonight, we also have an exclusive account of a parent who was inside the Sky Zone in Timonium this weekend when that deadly gunfire erupted.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't look over my shoulder. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if he was reloading. I just know he emptied everything and I wasn't sticking around.
Fox 45's Amy Simpson with a preview of their conversation. And Amy, this parent's account is terrifying.
Yes, Mary, and he described it as a fight or flight situation, all at a place that he felt was safe to bring his children, a place he says they had been dozens of times before. Today, David Locke told me he was here at the Sky Zone in Timonium with 2 of his kids on Saturday night. He tells me he was sitting in the main trampoline area with his 14-month-old son, having just sent his 9-year-old daughter back out to play. That's when he said the sound of music and laughter inside made way for 2 popping sounds, and Locke describes seeing a man in the nearby foam pit with another man holding a black and silver gun standing over him.
And then he just unloaded everything in the magazine. I obviously had nothing. You can't fight a gun with, I had a diaper bag, my son, and all these children, their innocence is gone.
Locke tells me he turned and ran, grabbing his daughter on the way, and they got out of there, not knowing at the time that this was a domestic altercation. Charging documents have now revealed 30-year-old Quentin Walker was visiting his daughter at the trampoline park here in Timonium before allegedly getting into that violent and deadly encounter with his ex-wife's boyfriend. Walker later turned himself into police and is now charged with murder. Meanwhile, a Baltimore County dad who says he witnessed this terror tells me today he still hasn't come down from that shock of what he saw here over the weekend and the conversation that he says he's since had to have with his 9-year-old daughter. That's coming up at 5. We're live in Timonium. Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Amy, thank you. Well, Fox 45 News has learned a 16-year-old shot and killed Monday in East Baltimore was a student at Digital Harbor High School. Friends of Bryson Hudson shared this picture of him with us. Police say he was shot and killed in what they believe to be a drive-by shooting. It happened near Johns Hopkins Hospital. A 26-year-old was also shot. Bryson is now one of 171 people who have been killed this year in Baltimore. Another 421 have survived shootings.
And right now, Mayor Scott and Acting Police Commissioner Richard Worley continue to listen to residents as part of his confirmation process. During the last hearing, Mayor Scott faced questions about safe streets.
Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost joins us live. And Mackenzie, what did the mayor say to the community when asked about this program?
Well, Maxine and Mary, the mayor says that he believes that there has been complete transparency, not only with how the Safe Streets program operates, but also with how the nonprofits that are working with the city spend its money. But through our investigation, we know that hasn't always been the case.
And welcome to Mayor Scott and Commissioner Burley Community Engagement Session.
Mayor Brandon Scott and Acting Baltimore Police Commissioner Richard Worley listening to community members all over Baltimore before City Council votes on Worley's confirmation. One question this week directed at Worley was about how the police department and Safe Streets can better work together to make Charm City safer.
Regardless of whether or not the organization is a nonprofit.
Mayor Brandon Scott taking the question instead and quick to push back on transparency concerns.
We have to understand that there's always transparency with these programs. The monies that we spend on Safe Streets is out there for anybody to see. But what we are not going to do is allow these right-wing people to come in and try to tear down folks who have changed their life and want to make their neighborhood a better place.
I reject that characterization. None of us wants anyone to be hurt, harmed, certainly not killed or murdered,
Absolutely.
Whether it's Safe Streets or anyone else. I'm speaking, again, as a taxpayer, not a right-wing media person.
Not you. You know what I'm talking
I don't
about.
represent any media company or corporation. I do represent, or at least personally represent, a taxpayer, a homeowner, a citizen, and I think we have the right to understand and know better where and how our money is spent.
Mayor Scott is right about nonprofits showing how some money is spent, but every dollar is not accounted for on the annual reports produced.
This is a very superficial look at their finances.
Taxpayer advocate David Williams says the 990 financial form given to the federal government is not an audit of the organization's finances, doesn't go into detail, and often lags by a year or more on information.
While a 990 is required by the IRS and is a good snapshot of the organization, it doesn't tell the whole story. And that's why we should be suspect of money going through nonprofits, is because their finances are hidden in a 990, and there's a delayed process for getting the financial information from a nonprofit.
While the city requires public record requests to hand over the contracts with LifeBridge and Catholic Charities to operate the Safe Streets sites, the details of the contracts indicate just how in control of the program City Hall really is. The nonprofits must get permission from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement for any flyer for Safe Streets events or comments given to the media. And details of how every penny is spent are not included. For some in the community, the information provided by the city simply is not enough.
We want to see what the return on investment, so to speak, what the return on investment is, and we want to know, again, is it working? Not just from Johns Hopkins studies. We want a better representation, we want better information, and we want to have transparency.
So I guess there is nothing secret about Safe Streets.
But the city has gone to great lengths to shield some information from the public. We still don't know who trains the Safe Streets workers, what their training entails, and how exactly Catholic Charities and LifeBridge spend the millions of dollars given to them by the city.
This is gaslighting when he says that we do know where the money is being spent. The mayor is wrong.
Now, the mayor reiterates the importance why he believes it's important to keep the names of the Safe Streets workers private. He says it's a way to protect their privacy as well as their safety. We've asked for information, including time cards and other workforce development paperwork with the names of the Safe Streets workers redacted, but the city still hasn't provided that information. We're live in the newsroom. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Hartford County Executive Bob Castley is promising to increase protection along the popular Ma and Paul walking trail where the body of Rachel Marin was found over a week ago. I'm Rebecca Pryor, and coming up, I'll tell you more about the new security system he plans to install.
Well, the season hasn't even started, and fights break out between the Baltimore Ravens and the Washington Commanders. The latest from a tumultuous day at training camp coming up.
Right now, a manhunt is underway in Howard County for an escaped inmate. They're looking for 38-year-old Randy Morris, who they say escaped this morning from a transport van. Maryland State Police have now joined the search. Morris was incarcerated for burglary.
A Cecil County man is sentenced in a sex abuse case. The Maryland U.S. Attorney's Office says 35-year-old Nguia Colby from Elkton was sentenced to 50 years in prison. His charges include abusing a child and recording the act, conspiracy to sexual abuse of a child, and child pornography. A 25-year-old from Elkton was sentenced back in May to 80 years in prison for his role in that crime.
Fox 45 News is learning 88-year-old Barbara Logan was the woman killed in a hit and run in northwest Baltimore Monday afternoon. Police say they are searching for a flatbed truck, which allegedly ran into Logan's car on Liberty Heights Avenue. She was taken to the hospital where she later died. Anyone with information is asked to call police.
Rachel's murder just really has shaken the community, and we're pushing back.
Hartford County Executive Bob Casserly pledging to increase protection along the popular Ma and Pa walking trail.
It is a popular trail in Bel Air where the body of a 37-year-old woman was found over a week ago.
Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor live in Bel Air after sitting down with Casserly today to talk about this new security that he wants to put in place. Rebecca?
Well, walkers that I spoke with today along the Ma and Pa Trail say they're still uneasy being in the area. As you can see, reminders of this mysterious murder that took place are all around. But now, County Executive Bob Casserly says he wants to put the community's minds at ease. Yesterday, he announced cameras will be coming to the trail to help keep an electronic eye out. Specifically, he says security and surveillance will be increased along the trail's isolated areas, below bridges and through thick forest coverage. Although at this time, he's still working directly with BGE and private contractors to determine exactly where the cameras will be placed and how much they'll cost, as well as when they'll be installed.
In the meantime, folks are going to have to rely upon additional police patrols, but also their own public safety awareness. Walk with a friend. Don't go at dusk. Carry your phone with you.
Now, residents that we spoke with say that those cameras are a welcomed investment, one that they hope will prevent future tragedies and provide peace of mind in the area. Reporting live from the Ma and Pa Trail, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Rebecca, thank you. Baltimore City Police need your help locating a missing man. 77-year-old Dennis Drake Jr. was last seen yesterday on Preston Street in East Baltimore. Police are calling him a vulnerable adult. He's possibly driving a 2014 white Cadillac XTS with Maryland tags. Call 911 if you have any information about his whereabouts.
And a beautiful August day goes down in the books. We're still enjoying some pretty warm temperatures now, but a break from the humidity. So mid and upper 80s to kick off this late afternoon. We've got plenty of sunshine on our hands too. And it looks like this pattern's going to continue over the next couple of days. Just one little hiccup I want to point out here on Future Scan. The rest of tonight is quiet. Temperatures will be cooling back down. We end up in the mild low 70s by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's mostly dry, but you'll notice a couple of stray showers popping up here during the afternoon as high temperatures heat their way back through the upper 80s. And then we've actually got a cold front that's going to come through Thursday night into early Friday morning, sending us another chance for a stray shower and isolated storm. Not a huge chance for rain, but it will have an impact on our temperatures. We're in great shape for grilling tonight. We'll start off in the low 80s. We wrap things up in the mid 70s under mostly clear skies, and that leads us into another bright and sunny day tomorrow. Temperatures will be heating their way through the 80s, mid 80s as we get into the afternoon. And it looks like we'll stay mostly dry as we head into the weekend. Some overnight showers Thursday into early Friday, but after that, it is all sunshine both Saturday and Sunday. Weekend starts off pretty comfy too. We're in the mid 80s, but then we're back up to 90 by Sunday. I'll break down your temperature trend in your full 7-day forecast in just about 20 minutes. Mary?
Amy, thank you. A delivery driver encounters a rattlesnake. What he does next has gone viral.
One of the Ravens' top defensive players will undergo surgery on his foot. An update on his status coming up next on Sports Unlimited. It's the position group that's been bitten by the injury bug again and again and again. Welcome into Sports Unlimited, where the Ravens are already down a handful of corners. Now they'll be without former All-Pro Marlon Humphrey for the foreseeable future. Following today's practice, John Harbaugh confirmed that Humphrey will undergo foot surgery for a lingering issue. It's a huge blow to a defense that's already without Rock Ya-Sin, Jalen Armour-Davis, Pepe Williams. And at this point, there's no set timetable for Humphrey's return to the field, but he's not expected to miss too much time.
I can't comment on how much he'll have to miss because I think that's the timeline is indeterminate right now. It's just hard to determine. It's not going to be a long-term deal though. And he is getting foot surgery today.
Yeah, it definitely hurts the defense. You know, when a leader like Marlon is not out there with us, but I know he'll get back as soon as he can, and we'll try to pick up the slack where he's not there when he's not out there. But looking forward to him being out there pretty soon.
Not only is Humphrey a leader with his voice, but his play on the field kind of speaks for itself. So it'll be interesting to see if the Ravens go out and try to get another free agent corner while he's gone. For now, in Owings Mills, Rocco DeSangro for Sports Unlimited.
And yesterday, there were back-to-back scuffles between the Ravens offense and the Commanders defense. The first involved Ravens wide receiver Tylan Wallace and Commanders cornerback Emmanuel Forbes. The second happened when Mark Andrews body slammed Commanders corner Danny Johnson to the ground. Coach Harbaugh addressed the brawls.
This is our challenge always, obviously, because you got two teams out here and there's a lot of pride. So, you know, we had a couple dust-ups, which you don't want to see, but it's not really unexpected. I thought they got handled pretty quickly. We called the guys up there on our field over there on our offensive field and talked to our guys, and Ron talked to their guys, and after that it was calmed down. So I felt good about that.
What appears to be a group of young people seen on camera vandalizing a business in North Baltimore. Turns out this wasn't the only business targeted. What role is social media playing in some of the crime and violence we're seeing around the nation? A new report suggesting it's escalating conflicts.
It said, "I hope you didn't have a pet rattlesnake at your front door because I killed him."
And a story you will only see here tonight. The delivery driver who encountered a rattlesnake in Nebraska and took matters into his own hands.
It's 4:30 and Fox 45 News is following two big stories: the dangers of social media and crime. The new report about conflicts beginning on the internet and pouring into the streets.
And a brazen crime in North Baltimore. Video captured what appears to be a group of young people vandalizing a business.
I've been here 25 years, and for me to be in any situation and think about me leaving here, that's real serious.
And we have team coverage.
Let's get to Jeff Abel, who's hearing from Baltimore businesses on the continued impact of crime.
I'm on one of the busiest corners in Baltimore City.
At St. Paul and 25th.
And I still see the beauty in the city.
It took owner Terrence Dixon 25 years to build his Terra Cafe and just seconds for thieves to attempt to tear it down.
2 young black men got out of it.
Just before midnight last Monday, this is what surveillance cameras captured. Vandals armed with a brick attempting to crack their way inside, while drivers passed with seemingly little concern.
They threw the brick again 3 or 4 times. They stomped on the window. For a city right now to be desensitized about caring of one another, that is like definitely a report card on public safety. You know, not a hey, because back in the day, hey, what are you doing? I'm gonna tell your mother.
That same night, 3 other businesses in the neighborhood suffered the same fate.
It happened to us 3 times.
Across the street, owner Dante Davis says while thieves typically leave with little money, businesses are left with a significant burden.
And they come in and they just, they tear your register down, so you gotta replace your registers.
That's a $2,000 hit for me.
At Terra Cafe, it costs $2,000 to replace the shattered front window with a new one. But for Dixon, it's another round of frustration for a small business fighting for survival.
How y'all doing? You all right?
Since COVID, his receipts have been down 60%, and City Hall, he says, has ignored them.
These people keep looking real pretty in front of the camera, and they're real trashy in our community, okay? And guess what? It's got to change.
3 years ago, Dixon served on the mayor's transition team at City Hall. But these days,
I can't get a call back from Brandon.
For now, all that's left are reminders of the crime scene, where the vandals fled with nothing and businesses were left with an ever-deepening wound.
I've been here 25 years, and for me to be in any situation and think about me leaving here, that's real serious.
It was Jeff Abel reporting. Dixon believes much of the problem stemmed from politicians who make laws governing small businesses but have never really owned or operated a small business themselves. Meanwhile, Baltimore police are investigating a deadly shooting involving 2 squeegee kids. One of the victims killed. It happened last Friday on East 33rd Street. Both of the victims are 19 years old. The teen killed has been identified as Antonio Lee.
Well, the dangers of social media involving our teens and children may extend farther than many parents imagine. Police officers are now sending stark warnings about the correlation between social media and crime. The National Desk's Angela Brown explains.
A new report from ProPublica nonprofit describes what's happening in the streets. Violence prevention workers describing feuds that started on social media, erupting into real life with terrifying speed. Sergeant Betsy Smith, spokesperson for the National Police Association, trains officers responding to social media beefs settled on the streets.
We have 32,000 different street gangs in this country, and a lot of their communication is electronic via social media. So when somebody says, hey, this is going to happen, I'm going to do this, they threaten somebody, and then all of a sudden, everybody shows up and it turns into these teen takeovers.
The CDC says nationwide the homicide rate for 15 to 19-year-olds increased by 91% from 2014 to 2021, with homicide rates surpassing suicide rates again in 2020 in that age group. Terrence Staley from the Alliance of Concerned Men works with teens to de-escalate violence and says social media is a factor.
People that are in violence, these things aren't happening second to second. These things are perpetrated for weeks and months. No one's tracking that. Nobody's paying attention to that. Nobody's looking at the social media posts. Nobody is protecting the kid that continues to get jumped after school.
Police also warning of this trend. Philly police say social media could be a motivator for some serious acts of violence in the city. In Washington, D.C., I'm Angela Brown.
Well, Believe it or not, the countdown is on to the first day of school in less than 2 weeks. Students from Baltimore City and County, Harford County, and Howard County will return to school. Then on Tuesday, September 5th, students in Carroll County and Cecil County will return for their first day of school. And as we get ready for the school year, communities are coming together to make sure every kid has what they need for a successful school year.
That's right. Megan Gillen with One Hotel in Baltimore is part of that effort, and you can help too.
We are seeing communities coming together, getting our kids ready for a brand new school year. And one way is Hotel Revival's Back to School Drive. They are collecting donations and donating money.
Revival hopes to make an impact where we work, where we live, and most importantly, where we educate each other. So far the greatest need, believe it or not, has been undergarments for elementary school. So socks, t-shirts, undershirts, those are a really great need for that right now at this time. We have a plethora of book bags, so we're good on book bags, but regular school supplies as well, pencils, paper, notebook, crayons, just to give the kids a great start.
You can check out Hotel Revival's Amazon page where you can directly donate needed school supplies. Just head to foxbaltimore.com/newslinks for more information. I'm Megan Gillen, Fox 45 News.
Fox 45 News is your back-to-school headquarters. Just scan the QR code on your screen to check out all of the stories we've posted so far, or go to foxbaltimore.com/back-to-school-HQ.
Tonight, we know more about why 98 text messages sent or received by the state school superintendent were deleted from his state-issued cell phone. On Monday, the State Board of Education issued a statement explaining the superintendent's phone was set to automatically delete texts after just 30 days. Now, Project Baltimore filed a public records request for the text messages, which could shed light on why the state decided to change how it reports test results for the state's lowest performing schools, making less information available to the public about those schools. We filed the request to see those text messages on April 10th. At that time, 12 of those 98 text messages were not yet 30 days old. And according to state law, as soon as we filed our public records request, those documents should have been preserved. But they were not. They were deleted.
This needs to be investigated immediately as record concealment or destruction of the public record. So those records belong to the people.
The State Board of Education has issued a lengthy statement on this issue. Tonight at 10, the action the state school board plans to take after this Project Baltimore investigation.
Well, this next story is not for the faint of heart. A delivery driver is going viral in Nebraska after he discovered a rattlesnake on a customer's porch.
The encounter, of course, caught on camera. Here's Colleen Williams from our Sinclair sister station in Nebraska with the full story.
It's the door Christy's children use every day.
Bye.
Watch close. Minutes after 12-year-old Kyler leaves, a rattlesnake arrives.
It's very scary. My daughter had just walked out that same door 20 minutes before that.
The prairie rattlesnake slithers up the step, all 36 inches in full view of the Ring camera, and then it curls up in the corner. A timestamp shows just 2 minutes later, delivery man Matt pulled into the driveway.
Took it up to the front door and I sat it down.
For Matt, this delivery was just like any other. Until...
Oh. And then I'm like, and there he was.
Knowing a family lived inside, Matt decided to take action.
I knew they had a garage there, and I figured they probably had some tools I can go grab.
I'm so thankful you didn't just leave it there. Because my thoughts now are, what if you would have said, hey, by the way, I saw a rattlesnake on your front step, and I left it there. It was just, over there in the corner. I don't know if I would be able to exit my front door. As it is now, I can tell myself that that was the only rattlesnake there.
Once Matt took care of the snake, he even cleaned up the mess and disposed of the body.
I had some garbage bags in the truck, and I just I'll throw him in there, and then I'll decide what to do with him later.
Matt left a note, or in this case, a text for the homeowner.
It said, I hope you didn't have a pet rattlesnake at your front door because I killed him. Matt. Sorry about the blood.
It's a story that's quickly gone viral, with Matt the delivery man being hailed a hero. There are people that want to nominate you for Delivery Man of the Year. You need a raise. Not all heroes wear capes. What is your reaction to you being hailed a hero? Deservingly so.
I was just kind of put in a position where I had to do something.
Thank you, Matt, very much. We're very, very thankful that you took care of business here. Great customer service.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
He is so nonchalant about it, right? We would be screaming, running away.
No way. I wouldn't have gotten anywhere near it. Good for him. That's amazing.
Way to go, Matt.
Yeah, I love that story.
Goodness.
I hate snakes, but I love that story.
Exactly.
And we are looking forward to more sunshine tomorrow, followed by a chance for a stray shower, a stray storm late Thursday. But after that, we're in good shape as we head into the weekend. I'll let you know where our temperatures are headed in just a couple of minutes.
What do Americans think about the historic indictment of President Donald Trump? We have a new poll to share.
I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington. Coming up, Target releases its worst sales numbers in 6 years. Hear what the company's CEO has to say about the cause.
Fox 45 News, winner of 16 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
We are back now with the Fox 45 Quad Box. North Korea confirms publicly for the first time the U.S. soldier who crossed into their country last month is indeed there. The government adding Private Travis King made the move because of racial discrimination in the U.S. Army. King had just been released from a detention facility in South Korea where he served time on assault charges. More Americans approve of the DOJ indicting Trump over his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. That's according to a new Associated Press poll. Among the 53%, approval is 85% of Democrats, 47% of independents, and just 16% of Republicans. Crews with Maryland Task Force 1 are headed to Hawaii after devastating wildfires claim more than 100 lives right now. Nearly 200 search and rescue workers with cadaver dogs are combing through the ashes of homes and businesses, most of which are incinerated. In COVID hospitalizations, they're up once again. The CDC says hospitalizations are up 14.3% week over week. That's more than 10,000 hospitalizations in the week ending August 5th. Target records its worst sales numbers in 6 years. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins is looking into what might have caused that.
A pride campaign aimed at inclusion ended with both sides upset. Target's bottom line suffering as a result.
It's just again seemingly caught in the middle of these culture wars in a way that did seem to impact sales.
Sales dropping 5.4% for the second quarter, the retailer's first negative quarterly sales report in 6 years. On a call with reporters, Target CEO Brian Cornell attributing the decline in part to inflation as customers cut back on non-essentials, but also to negative guest reaction to our Pride assortment.
For the first time, we have a CEO that has admitted that engaging in contentious social issues has had a negative impact on the company's bottom line.
This year's Pride campaign featured items like tuck-friendly swimsuits, creating a firestorm from conservatives. The company's subsequent pivot, pulling items from shelves or placing them in the back of the store, upsetting the LGBTQ+ community. Following the changes, Target's sales began to recover in July.
When you engage in contentious social issues, you're going to create contention. There is not a broad consensus on a lot of these social issues, progressive issues that corporations seem intent on weighing in on.
Bud Light facing similar issues, struggling to recover from plunging sales following the partnership with trans activist Dylan Mulvaney.
Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it.
Anheuser-Busch heir Billy Busch offering to buy his family's company back from current owner AB InBev.
If they don't want that brand any longer, sell it back to the Busch family, sell it to me. I'll be the first in line to buy that brand back from you, and we'll make that brand great again.
This Bud Light controversy has cost its parent company $395 million in revenue. The company attributing that loss to declining U.S. sales. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
We're turning our attention now to the weather. Our area is seeing a little break from the humidity and storms. These are live pictures from Ocean City to Baltimore to Towson. And it looks like we'll be enjoying nice temperatures for the next couple of days. Meteorologist Amy Aronson is here with a check of the forecast. Hey, Amy.
Hey, yeah, beautiful conditions all around. Something else noteworthy happening today. It's actually our final 8 p.m. sunset of the summer season. Next time sunset is that late. That's not until May 1st next year in 2024. So after today, sunset will only get earlier. So for example, in 1 month, we're back to 7:13. In 2 months, 6:26, so just before 6:30. And then by November, that sunset extra early at 4:51. But right now, the sun is still fully up. We've got blue skies and sunshine shining down on the Inner Harbor. Really pleasant today in wake of that front that moved through yesterday. 87 degrees currently with a light westerly wind. Dew points are way down, so that indicates how much moisture we're working with. When dew points reach 70, humidity becomes more noticeable. We're currently in the low 60s, so not too bad at the moment. And here's that cold front that moved through yesterday, sent us some showers and some storms. That has since pushed offshore. Coming in behind it, not much of anything, at least in the short term. I do want to point out our next weather maker. See that cold front well to our north and west. Yeah, that's going to dip southward, and that's going to bring us a brief chance for at least a shower, at least a storm over the next 24 hours. But not tonight, not tomorrow. During the day tomorrow, much like today, we'll just enjoy a mix of sun and clouds. But here comes that weak little cold front. You'll see that marching in from the west here tomorrow evening. And then it looks like it actually passes through overnight Thursday into early Friday morning, producing just a stray shower and isolated storm here. And while most of us are sleeping. So by the time you head out Friday morning, it's actually already out of here. Temperature-wise, we're in good shape tomorrow, too. Much like today, calls for some pool time with highs headed into the mid and upper 80s. Friday, not quite as warm. So behind that front, we get even more relief from the heat and the humidity. At least briefly, we're back in the low 80s. And temperatures will stay down at least for the start of the weekend. So sunny and still comfortable on Saturday, looking and feeling great for outdoor plans with highs in the mid 80s. By Sunday, more sunshine, but the temperatures are back up. So perfect for ice cream or a snowball. We're close to 90. And if you do anything fun this weekend and enjoy the sunshine, send us your pictures. foxbaltimore.com/chime-in is the best way to do that. We will stay in the 80s through Saturday, so enjoy it, because after that, we're back up to 90 degrees. And by Monday, the real heat is back. So temperatures will soar back into the mid-90s to kick off a brand new week. I'll let you know exactly how long the 90s stick around next week in just a couple of minutes in my full 7-day forecast. Maxine?
All right, thank you, Amy. The stage is now set for this year's FIFA World Cup final. England clinched their spot today after beating Australia 3-1. They will face off with Spain this Sunday. Coverage begins at 5 a.m. and you can watch the excitement live right here on Fox 45. Coming up at 5 o'clock, the couple NFL star Michael Oherst said tricked him into a conservatorship is speaking out what they say they're going to do next. And as your college kids get ready to head back to school, we have a guide for some essential dorm room shopping. It is that time of year for college and grad students moving in and furnishing a college apartment. Tom Rogers is here with expert advice on which essential appliances and products make the grade.
College roommates Arthur Panetta and Cooper Rockwood shared a mini fridge in their dorm room. This year, it's traveling with them to their first apartment. No matter where you are living, some type of refrigerator is a must, and if a space is an issue, a mini fridge can be a good option. They are convenient and help cut down on food costs.
A mini fridge allows you to stash some snacks, drinks, and a meal or two so you don't have to spend all your money on meals at the dining hall.
Whether you're on or off campus, a coffee maker can keep you from overspending at the cafe.
You might think a single serve is the way to go, but many are pricey, and that doesn't factor into the cost of the pods, which are also wasteful if you can't recycle them.
Reduce waste and have enough coffee for your roommates with this Hamilton Beach. Costs less than $30. And if a mug of tea feels more like home, an electric kettle like this top-rated Sakura. It heats up fast and is easy to clean. And finally, when you want to kind of cook in your first place, consider a toaster oven.
Instead of a microwave, you may want to consider a toaster oven. They're much more versatile. And these days, air fryer toaster ovens are very popular. So you get 3 appliances in one.
This Cuisinart offers convection, cooks, and can bake, broil, reheat, and is also an air fryer. Now, all your student will need is to learn how to clean up that kitchen. With any heating device, check your school and if your dorm or your apartment on campus specifically to see if you can have them in there. Consumer Reports recently tested washable rugs like Ruggables that can be easily washed and say they can definitely up the aesthetic into your any space, but they can also be quite pricey, especially for a student. So instead, check the label on regular rugs or consider other washable fabrics like cotton. Tom Rogers, Fox 45 News.
Take a look at this. The Maryland Zoo shares an otter pup date. The rescued river otter pup is now navigating her new outdoor paradise at the zoo hospital. The zoo tells us she is living her best life, from chasing her own reflection to hanging out catching some sun. She was rescued back in May and has been on the road to recovery ever since.
And we are looking at a pretty nice 7-day forecast ahead of us, with the exception of that stray shower or storm late tomorrow night. No real rain or storm chances. We've got lots of sunshine heading into the weekend. Mid-80s ahead of us on Friday and again on Saturday. We're back up to 90 on Sunday, mid-90s by next Monday. But after that, it looks like temperatures will be closer to normal again. So next Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll spend in the mid and upper 80s. Maxine?
Coming up on Fox 45 News at 5. First on Fox, a firefighter who survived the deadly Stricker Street fire is speaking out why he's hoping the city will make change. And new developments in the legal battle surrounding former Ravens player Michael Orr. The family he says took advantage of him for years responds to his claims tonight. A father says he grabbed his kids and ran when he heard the gunshots, hearing from a witness who inside the Timonian Sky Zone during the deadly shooting this past weekend.
And first on Fox, more than a year after he escaped the Stricker Street fire with his life, we're talking exclusively with firefighter John McMaster, hearing his story of recovery and what he says needs to change to avoid another tragedy.
And is the mayor misrepresenting how transparent the nonprofits running Safe Streets really are? His response to community concerns within the program.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 5.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't look over my shoulder. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if he was reloading. I just know he emptied everything and I wasn't sticking around.
Well, tonight we are getting a first-hand account of what unfolded inside the Timonium Sky Zone Saturday night when a man was shot and killed inside the trampoline park. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala.
And I'm Maxine Stryker in for Kai tonight. A father who says he was at Sky Zone with his 2 children is describing to Fox 45 the fight or flight instinct that kicked in.
And those split-second decisions to keep his children safe from gunfire. Amy Simpson live in Timonium with the interview that is first on Fox tonight.
Yeah, Mary, Maxine, with talking to this dad today, you just really get the sense of how heavy it was to witness this terror all inside of a place he felt was safe to bring his children. This Baltimore County dad says his senses are still heightened, having yet to come down from the shock of what his family witnessed Saturday night.
I haven't really settled in to normalcy.
David Locke says he was just looking to have some fun with his kids after a long week.
It's usually packed. I mean, we've been going there for years.
Saying they're frequent flyers at Sky Zone Trampoline Park.
In the past 4 years, between birthday parties, I would say at least 60. I get a membership every year.
Locke said he was sitting in the main trampoline area with his 14-month-old son, having just sent his 9-year-old daughter back out to play, when he said the sound of music and laughter made way for 2 popping sounds.
And I looked to my left, immediate left, and that's when I realized it was not firecrackers or balloons.
Locke then described seeing a man in the nearby foam pit, another man with a black and silver gun standing over him.
And then he just unloaded everything in the magazine.
For this dad, it was fight or flight.
I obviously had nothing. You can't fight a gun with, I had a diaper bag and my son.
Turning and running, collecting his daughter and getting out of there.
I don't know how I would feel if something happened to one of my kids.
Charging documents now reveal 30-year-old Quentin Walker was visiting his daughter at the trampoline park before getting into that violent and deadly encounter with his ex-wife's boyfriend. Walker later turned himself into police, now behind bars and charged with murder.
My focus was my children, and I just wanted to get them out.
But to this dad, at the time, he had no way to know it was a domestic altercation.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't look over my shoulder. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if he was reloading. I just know he emptied everything and I wasn't sticking around.
Witnessing the violence, leading to what he called some very adult conversations with his 9-year-old.
And all these children, their innocence is gone.
Conversations likely happening in other households too.
A lot of families are having this hard conversation. A lot of kids, unfortunately, saw things that they should have never seen.
Locke says he's not sure if or when his family will return to the trampoline park, now reevaluating plans to visit the fair and be in a large crowd.
It seems like people aren't afraid anymore. It just seems like the thing in people's head would stop them from maybe doing something or thinking like there's some consequences. I feel like some people, it doesn't exist.
Now, that alleged shooter was denied bond by a judge here in Baltimore County earlier this week, and that man is due back in court on that murder charge in just a few weeks. We're live in Timonium. Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Amy, thank you. Fox 45 News has learned a 16-year-old shot and killed Monday in East Baltimore was a student at Digital Harbor High School. Friends of Bryson Hudson shared this picture of him with us. Police say he was shot and killed in what they believe to be a drive-by shooting. It happened near Johns Hopkins Hospital. A 26-year-old was also shot.
Well, Mayor Scott and Acting Police Commissioner Richard Worley are hearing from residents as part of the confirmation process. And some want to know more about Safe Streets. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost joins us live. Mackenzie, what did the mayor have to say to community members when they asked about this program?
Yeah, Mary, there was a pretty tense back and forth during this week's town hall with Mayor Brandon Scott and Acting Police Commissioner Richard Worley. There was a community member who asked some questions about Safe Streets. She actually directed the question to the Acting Police Commissioner, wanting to know how BPD could work with Safe Streets in a closer manner to ensure that there's a safer community all across Baltimore. But instead, the mayor took the question, and here's a clip.
We have to understand that there's always transparency with these programs. The monies that we spend on Safe Streets is out there for anybody to see.
None of us wants anyone to be hurt, harmed, certainly not killed or murdered,
Absolutely.
Whether it's Safe Streets or anyone else.
We don't control what nonprofits do with their money. So if they want to show you what they're doing, and all nonprofits information is out there. Every nonprofit has to talk about how their money is spent. So I just want the residents to know that the city doesn't control how a nonprofit gives out their information.
That's not exactly true. We've gone through the contracts that the city has with the nonprofits, and the city maintains pretty tight control over what LifeBridge and Catholic Charities can share. The city must approve any sort of publication that is publicized for Safe Streets events. They also approve any media comments from these two nonprofits. And when the mayor talks about the publications for the nonprofits disclosing their financials, we talked to a tax expert who says those 990 federal forms don't always go into the specific detail that a lot of the people in the community are looking for.
This is gaslighting when he says that we do know where the money is being spent. The mayor is wrong. While a 990 is required by the IRS and is a good snapshot of the organization, it doesn't tell the whole story. And that's why we should be suspect of money going through nonprofits, is because their finances are hidden in a 990 and there's a delayed process for getting the financial information from a nonprofit.
We know the mayor says and maintains that the city will not provide the public with the names of the Safe Streets workers, citing their safety. We've asked the city to provide workforce documentation and time cards with those names redacted, but so far we haven't gotten that information. We're live in the newsroom. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Mackenzie, thank you. That brings us to our question of the day. Do taxpayers deserve to know how Safe Streets spends its money? So far, 89% of voters say yes. You can make your voice heard by going to foxbaltimore.com/vote. And this just in, a child abducted in Baltimore has been found in Portland, Maine. The person arrested for the kidnapping is another juvenile. According to Portland police, a 17-year-old from Honduras has been charged with abducting a 10-year-old. That 10-year-old has been reunited with his parents. The suspect will be extradited to Baltimore. Police say they expect the ongoing investigation to lead to additional human trafficking charges.
First on Fox, the firefighter critically injured on the day of the Stricker Street fire that killed 3 Baltimore City firefighters is speaking exclusively with Fox 45. It's been more than a year of recovery for John McMaster physically, mentally, and emotionally. And now he's talking about his journey and the changes he'd like to see so another tragedy like this never happens again.
The day started like any other day for me.
January 24th, 2022. Should have been just another day at work for John McMaster, but now it's a day forever ingrained in his mind.
Took my job from me. I love that job. I love the men and women that I work with the Baltimore City Fire Department.
It's the day his career with the Baltimore City Fire Department came to an end.
I was on leadoff that day, which means that I get the supply line and hook that to the hydrant.
The call came in early in the morning for a 2-alarm fire on Stricker Street.
Kelsey was to my right, Kenny was in front of me.
Once inside the home,
something came down and hit me in the back of the head, and the next thing I know, it started crumbling down on us, trapping us.
McMaster and 3 other firefighters, Lieutenant Paul Buttram, Kelsey Sadler, and Kenny Lacayo,
we just had a collapse. Mayday, mayday, mayday.
couldn't get out.
There was too much weight, too much lumber on us, and so we were trapped. I called out for help. I was calling out my company, engine 14, engine 14.
As McMaster's cries for help grew louder, he began to run out of air.
I reached out and I was able to find Kenny's hand. It was pitch black, you couldn't see anything. It was still on fire, so it was still smoky. I tried to reassure Kenny that we were going to be okay. I told him, brother, we're going to be fine. They're going to get us out of here. But you've got to open up this pipe because we are burning up right now. And Kenny did that.
A matter of minutes trapped in the dark felt like hours.
What I tried to remember was, you know, pictures of my families and my friends. I tried to imagine them.
And he says death was at his door.
I thought at that time this was it for me.
But then came a touch.
Eventually I can feel some tugging on my pack, pulling me back.
It was after days at shock trauma.
I was awake and I was still back. I still had a tube in my throat, and when the nurses would come up, I would ask for a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper, and I just kept writing 14 with a question mark.
McMaster learned his 3 fellow firefighters didn't make it.
And then you're left knowing that they weren't able to get everybody out. And you feel bad and you feel possibly guilty because they were all such great people.
McMaster was left with injuries, including memory loss that will last a lifetime.
I have a burn on my right foot, the inside of my right calf, my right shin, the outside of my left shin, a burn on my hamstring, a burn on the bottom of my buttocks, 2 burns on my back, a burn on my right arm, a burn down my chest, and a burn on my neck.
As he continues on his path to recovery, he's joined the families of the fallen firefighters, filing notice of their plans to sue the city.
We didn't know that the house was vacant. We didn't know there was prior fires at this house. We didn't know there was prior collapses at this house.
Calling the tragedy preventable and unforgivable, he wants to see the vacant home crisis addressed now.
The house was able to come down after Stricker Street, right? After it killed 3 of my brothers, then it was able to be demoed. What's the holdup on demoing the houses now?
The line of duty report released after the fire confirmed firefighters were unaware of the danger inside the home and outlined departmental leadership and cultural issues. It also included pages of recommendations, some of which the fire union says the department has addressed, including marking vacant homes with red signs. But McMaster says it's all too late.
I'm sad. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
As his life will never return to what it was before that January day.
You always know that you lost 3 of your brothers and sisters in a preventable fire. And that makes me sad also. It makes me angry. But it makes me sad that it seems like nothing's being done about this.
A popular walking trail is getting more security. How the Harford County executive says the community is fighting back as the search for a killer continues.
A possible trial date for Donald Trump in the Georgia election interference case, the latest, the criminal charges he's facing.
And a warm August day goes down into the books, but we aren't dealing with humidity right now. I'll let you know exactly how long the break from the humidity and the storms last in just a couple of minutes on Fox 45 News at 5.
March 4th, 2024, that's when the Fulton County District Attorney wants the trial of former President Donald Trump and his 18 co-defendants over their efforts to overturn the 2020 election. In a court filing, Fani Willis asked to schedule arraignments for the defendants the week of September 5th. It's unclear if the judge will agree to the dates, but it shows Willis wants a trial within 6 months.
Trump is charged with multiple crimes, including racketeering, soliciting a public official, making false statements, and conspiracy. Arrest warrants have already been issued. The historic indictment is the fourth criminal case Trump is facing. And we're hearing more from prominent politicians on Trump's most recent indictment. Former Vice President Mike Pence saying there has to be consequences for lying to the public.
Despite what the former president and his allies have said for now more than 2.5 years, and continue to insist to this very hour, the Georgia election was not stolen, and I had no right to overturn the election on January 6th.
Pence says nobody is above the law, but Trump and the others indicted deserve the presumption of innocence like every American.
The Trump indictment includes racketeering charges. So how does the law associated with prosecuting the mafia and organized crime bosses relate to this case? Didi Gatton explains.
Georgia law says anyone found guilty of a RICO offense is guilty of a felony conviction that carries a prison term of 5 to 20 years, a fine, or both. The Federal Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, known as RICO, originated in 1970 as a tool to fight organized crime. The law enabled prosecutors to target people in positions of authority within a criminal organization. The federal law can relate to financial transactions that would be involved in a conspiracy to violate the law. States began passing their own RICO laws, and while Georgia's is similar to the federal version, there are significant differences.
The Georgia law does not focus only on money. It focuses on any kind of corrupt conspiracy, what they define as a quote unquote corrupt conspiracy. That makes it a little easier to prove guilt because it's a broader statute.
Former Georgia Attorney General Sam Olin says he believes the case in D.C. will come up first and this Georgia case second. Reporting for the National Desk, I'm Didi Gatton.
All right, time to talk about our weather. Really lovely out there. I think we all expected to be smoking hot, and today it wasn't.
For a change, it's not. I know, what a welcome change. The only thing that's not so welcome and kind of sad is that sunsets are getting earlier and earlier, and like really quickly too. We're losing it in the evening.
That is sad.
It is sad. It's like kind of the end of summer. And tonight is actually our 8 o'clock sunset. Our final one of the season won't happen again until May 1st in 2024. So far away. In just 1 month, we'll be down to sunset at 7:13 p.m. In 2 months, we're right around 6:30. And yeah, by November, we're before 5 o'clock already. But right now, we are still soaking up the sunshine, looking really pretty down at Federal Hill. We've got lots of sun over the water there. We're hanging on to 85 degrees. We've got a nice dry northerly wind at 3 miles an hour, ushering in all that nice dry air. Dew points are down in the low 60s. The lower the dew point, the drier the air. When that number gets into the 70s, that's when that humidity becomes much more noticeable. Currently not the case. And this has to do with that front that moved through yesterday. Some locations saw storms from it. Some didn't see anything at all. That has since moved on. Now we've got a secondary cold front out towards Minneapolis. That's also going to travel our direction. And that's going to bring us another slim chance for some showers and some storms in the next 24 hours. But tonight we're completely quiet and dry. Actually, same through tomorrow morning. Another round of sunshine ahead of us tomorrow. Temperatures will be similar in the mid and upper 80s. And then here comes this cold front. That's going to slide through late tomorrow night. Actually, overnight while most of us are sleeping, this cold front pushes through, sends us a stray shower and isolated storm. Not really a big deal. I think it gets out of here around daybreak on Friday, and after that, we're in good shape again. So that's going to keep our humidity levels in check over the next couple of days. Today, for example, we ended up in the mid and upper 80s. We'll do it again tomorrow, so perfect for some pool time. Friday, even more comfortable. We're briefly in the low 80s. And that's actually where we're going to start off our weekend too. Weekend looks fantastic, especially for late August standards. Sunshine ahead of us both days, mid 80s on Saturday, close to 90 by Sunday. And temperatures will stay in the 80s through at least Saturday. After that, the heat is back. We're flirting with 90 again by Sunday and mid 90s by early next week. Only real rain chance comes overnight on Thursday. After that, we're dry, mid 80s ahead of us Friday and Saturday. The heat is briefly back on Sunday to Monday. We will stay rain and storm free all the way through next Wednesday, with high temperatures actually settling back into the mid and upper 80s next Tuesday and Wednesday. Mary?
Hey, thank you. Scammers are trying to take advantage of the crisis in Hawaii. What you can do to help the victims without getting your money taken.
It took less than a month for us to see changes in the respiratory function of those using e-cigarettes. I'm Liz Bonus. We share the latest research and what we should all know about our health just ahead.
Well, there are growing concerns over teen vaping. With school returning, teens may have easier access to vape products, and some new research shows just how harmful they can be to young people. Medical reporter Liz Bonus explains.
Hey there, everybody. Researchers in this study found young people are at risk for lingering respiratory symptoms after just 30 days of electronic or e-cigarette use. These symptoms included respiratory symptoms such as bronchitis, even shortness of breath. Researchers at the Center for Tobacco Research at The Ohio State University Comprehensive Cancer Center surveyed e-cigarette users between the ages of 17 and 20. They said even when they took out other things that could influence breathing problems in young people, such as secondhand smoke and cannabis use,
we do see associations with shortness of breath and symptoms of chronic bronchitis, like coughing, increased phlegm.
Dr. Elena Tackett says we don't know right now about all products teens vape, but in this study,
we specifically asked about e-cigarette product use with nicotine.
So Dr. Tackett says young people should know that in addition to substances in e-cigarette aerosol, which can harm the lungs, those that vape products with nicotine have the potential to be wheezing and having breathing trouble, as well as chronic respiratory conditions. Now, researchers say this data should be considered in future messaging and regulation decisions around the sales of these e-cigarettes. I'm medical reporter Liz Bonus. Now back to you.
Crews from Maryland are headed to help search and recovery efforts in Maui. The latest on the wildfires and what you can do to help. Will more security stop another tragedy? The possible impact of new cameras going up along the Ma and Pa Trail as the search for a killer continues.
Rachel's murder just really has shaken the community, and we're pushing back.
Harford County Executive Bob Castley pledging to up protection along the popular Ma and Pa walking trail after the body of 37-year-old Rachel Morin was found there over a week ago.
That's right. Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor has details and asks residents whether it's enough to put fears at ease.
How could this happen?
Bel Air residents taking to the Ma and Pa walking trail Wednesday.
In daylight.
Remaining on edge.
I feel kind of uneasy a little bit.
I need to be more aware than I was before.
As the mysterious murder of Rachel Morin continues to cast a dark shadow along the once popular path.
So I used to walk daily through the week, and I stopped for a little while.
Harford County Executive Bob Castley now working to put minds at ease by installing a new series of security cameras along the trail to help keep an electronic eye out.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
It provides an extra layer of security and safety.
We don't want to allow evil to triumph and to drive folks away from this incredible asset.
Specifically, Castley says the cameras will increase security along the trail's isolated areas, below bridges and through thick forest coverage.
We're expediting the installation of.
Although at this time, he's still working directly with BGE and private contractors to determine exactly where the cameras will be placed, how much they'll cost, and when they'll be installed.
I mean, in the meantime, folks are going to have to rely upon additional police patrols.
Warning walkers to stay vigilant. Sheriff's deputies still monitoring the area as the search for a suspect lingers.
You want answers?
Yeah. Yes. Obviously.
I decided to start walking with a friend.
Residents telling us they pray Marin's killer is found soon and the cameras prevent anything like this from happening again. Rebecca Pryor.
It's scary.
Fox 45 News.
Meantime, the Harford County Sheriff's Office continues to ask for help from anybody who was at or around the trail on the day Morin's body was found. You can call 1-888-540-8477 or send an email to rmtips@harfordsheriff.org.
A search is underway for an inmate who escaped a transport van in Howard County. Police searching for 38-year-old Randy Morris. He was in prison for burglary. Officials say he escaped around 8:30 this morning near Dorsey Run Road and Route 32. Police say he was last seen wearing a white shirt and blue shorts. Anyone with information should contact Howard County Police.
Vandalism and robberies are forcing some business owners in the city to consider shutting down. Take a look at this security footage from Terra Cafe in North Baltimore. Just before midnight last Monday, vandals tried to break inside with a brick, destroying the storefront. That same night, 3 other businesses in the area were also robbed. Shop owners saying every time this happens, it costs them thousands.
They come in and they just, they tear your register down, so you got to replace your registers.
I've been here 25 years, and for me to be in any situation and think about me leaving here, that's real serious.
The owner of the Terra Cafe says it's going to cost more than $2,000 to get his windows replaced, and if he keeps getting robbed like this, it could mean the end of his shop.
Fox 45 News is learning 88-year-old Barbara Logan was the woman killed in a hit and run in Northwest Baltimore Monday afternoon. Police say they are searching for a flatbed truck which allegedly ran into Logan's car on Liberty Heights Avenue. She was taken to the hospital where she later died. Anyone with information is asked to call police. At least 106 people have died in the Maui wildfires. Recovery teams still combing through the towns that were destroyed by the fires, and the death toll is expected to rise. Officials are also starting to identify those who lost their lives as search efforts continue.
And President Biden and the First Lady are set to visit Maui next week. On Monday, the Bidens will meet with fire survivors along with first responders and other government officials. The White House saying the plan for Biden to visit impacted areas has been in the works for days.
So, of course, he's eager to go out there. We just have to make sure it happens where we are not disrupting what's occurring on the ground, the rescue efforts that are occurring on the ground. And that is incredibly important.
Well, according to the White House, the administration has tried to get immediate help to Maui in other ways. President Biden signed a major disaster declaration in Hawaii so local and state officials can access more resources.
Maryland is also doing its part to help with the Maui response. Maryland Task Force 1 is headed to Hawaii to help with search and rescue efforts. The 80-member team from Montgomery County is en route to the islands right now. And local chapters of the American Red Cross also sending their support. Patrice Sanders has the latest on their efforts to help families displaced by the destruction.
Families in Hawaii are still reeling and trying to recover following devastating wildfires that wiped out entire communities. Life as they know it is gone. It is an uncertain time as they try to figure out basic needs day to day. Kurt Luthi, interim executive director for the American Red Cross of Central Maryland, says their teams have been on the ground since day one, trying to meet those short-term and long-term needs.
First thing that they're looking for is a safe place to stay. And so we have 11 shelters right now. We've had over 4,000 overnight stays for people who have been displaced. And we're in those shelters, we're providing snacks, meals, information. It's a place where people can kind of gather and come in and find out what's happening, what the news is, what any new developments are. And then looking long term, we have caseworkers that are there. We work with local and government officials to make sure that people have the resources that they need to start to take the steps to their own recovery.
And talk about the emotional aspect of this. How do you meet their emotional needs?
Yeah, we have mental health professionals that are on the ground right now. And all of our Red Cross volunteers are actually trained to provide care and comfort for those who are going through something that's so devastating and traumatic like this. And so oftentimes it looks like sitting down next to somebody, putting your arm around them and listening to their story of what happened to them specifically.
He says the best way to support the Red Cross and help those families in Hawaii is by a financial donation. And there are 3 ways that you can do it. You can visit redcross.org. You can call 1-800-RED-CROSS, or you can even text the word Red Cross to 90999 to make a $10 donation. Patrice Sanders, Fox 45 News.
Well, sadly, every time there's a tragedy like this, scammers try to take advantage of people who just want to help. They often trick those donating money to relief causes into sending them money instead. This morning, Fox 45 News spoke with the Better Business Bureau about how you can make sure you are not getting scammed when you want to do good.
On the Hawaii's website, the state, they have listed the nonprofits to give money to, one of which would be, for example, United Way of Hawaii. They have boots on the ground. Tom, they know how to spend the money to get what people need. Right. So we don't have a way to get goods to Hawaii. So just save your money and watch GoFundMe, because sometimes scammers post and say they're a family and here's their sad story you want to give. There's no guarantee that a GoFundMe is really going to go to the victims.
For more information on how to donate safely, head to foxbaltimore.com.
We know more about why 98 text messages sent or received by the state superintendent were deleted from his state-issued cell phone. On Monday, the State Board of Education issued a statement on its website explaining the superintendent's phone was set to automatically delete text after just 30 days. Project Baltimore filed a public records request for the text messages, which could shed light on why the state decided to change how it reports test results for the state's lowest performing schools, making less information available to the public about those schools. We filed the request to see those text messages on April 10th. At that time, 12 of those 98 texts were not yet 30 days old. According to state law, as soon as we filed our public records request, those documents should have been preserved, but they were not. They were still deleted.
This needs to be investigated immediately as record concealment or destruction of the public record. So those records belong to the people.
State Board of Education has issued a lengthy statement on this issue. Tonight at 10, the action the state school board plans to take after this Project Baltimore investigation.
Hotel Revival's Back to School Drive is back. The program trying to make sure every child headed back to the classroom is fully equipped with everything they need for a successful school year. This morning, Fox 45's Megan Gillen spoke with the drive's organizers about what they need most.
So far, the greatest need, believe it or not, has been undergarments for elementary school. So socks, T-shirts, undershirts. Those are a really great need for that right now this time. We have a plethora of book bags, so we're good on book bags, but regular school supplies as well, pencils, paper, notebook, crayons, just to give the kids a great start.
Well, you can donate money to the program or buy items directly from Hotel Revival's Amazon wish list for kids. And Fox 45 News is your back-to-school headquarters. Just scan the QR code on your screen to check out all of the stories we posted so far, or go to foxbaltimore.com/backtoschoolhq.
Michael Orr says he was lied to and stolen from by the family that took him in. Fox 45 News is breaking down the former Ravens lawsuit with an expert.
I'm Christine Frizzell with a look at resources running low as officials from Arizona to New York to Massachusetts respond to the latest challenges stemming from immigration.
And I am tracking a lot of sunshine in the days ahead, not a ton of rain chances. There's just one little chance for some showers and some storms. I'll explain when that is and what that means for our temperatures heading into the weekend and next week in a couple of minutes on Fox 45 News at 5.